Welcome to the Becoming Your Best Version podcast. I'm your host, Maria Leonard Olson. I'm a civil litigation attorney in Washington, D.C., a podcaster, a TEDx speaker, author, and mentor to women in recovery. You can learn more about me at marialeonardolson.com. And if you would hit the like button on my TEDx talks and podcast, please review and subscribe. And all the other things I do, I would greatly appreciate it. I started this podcast 6 years ago because my work in the realm of women in midlife has brought me into contact with amazing women who have inspired me and I think will inspire you. Today, joining us from Chicago is international business and life guide Mel McSherry, who helps inspired but overwhelmed entrepreneurs honor their lives and become architects of their own success. Mel uses their spiritual gifts and 15 plus years of business building experience to slash entrepreneurs' stress and bring their success to life. By merging human design with traditional business development tools, Mel coaches others on how to connect with what they want and implement their strengths and strategies to be profitable every day, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially. You can learn more and follow Mel at melmcsherry.com and connect with Mel on all social media. Welcome, Mel.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, you do a lot of things, not just for your own self, but also for other people. So, I mean, you've got these two successful businesses, you're an author, you've spoken multiple times all over the US and overseas. I guess let's start with this. You use human design
Hmm.
as part of your offerings, and
Yeah,
many people don't know what that is. What is
yeah.
human design?
So human design is, I guess you could call it a formula that utilizes several different modalities. And what it incorporates is quantum physics, astrology, I Ching, Kabbalah, and the chakras. And what it does, in a short version, is it provides for you what I like to call your foundations, your operations manual. A lot of people like to coin it your energetic blueprint. And what it does is it shows you all of your best processes, all of your natural strengths and strategies. So you have a really confident understanding in how you are designed to create the business, the money, and the life that you want.
Got it. Wow. Wow. So you help other people become profitable, not
Mhm.
just financially, but mentally and emotionally. How do you do it?
Well, it starts off with really understanding and I shouldn't say understanding because it takes a bit to understand your human design, but it starts with connecting to your human design because I will say this, when I have readings with clients, it is always information that you have always known, but you didn't really have the proof for, or you weren't really sure why it was the way that it was. And what human design provides for you is not only the why, but the how behind it. And so with that, you start to customize your relationships. You start to customize your routines and you start to really flip that hierarchy of needs. I think in entrepreneurship, we are so trained to put financial goals as our main motivator, which is not necessarily a bad thing because we love money. We want money. Money's beautiful and is helpful and is glorious. And it can tend to put blinders on all of the profitability that is already around us. And therefore, we don't create really sustainable success. We create these really either short or way too long bursts of focus, of energy, of concentration. And then we can't seem to keep it up. And then we start getting mad at ourselves because we can't understand why we can't keep doing what we are doing. And when you start to understand, again, your personalized how to create the business, the money, and the life that you want, you start to see where you either started too soon or went too far and start making those small shifts. So every day you step into your business knowing how to profitably utilize the time and energy that you have. So every day you feel productive, but not in a way that is traditional in a sense, but in a way where you have that complete satisfaction of, oh, I did good today.
What a nice feeling. So, without betraying any confidences, can you
Yeah.
talk about maybe a mini case study of someone who was stuck or someone that you helped reach their full potential?
Absolutely. So I have many stories to choose from, but the one that seems to pop out the most is I started working with this amazing woman who was moving from corporate into entrepreneurship, and she had been in the HR department for about 15 years. And for anybody who works in HR, that is in a world of itself and comes with a lot of its own, I guess you could say baggage. I like to call it corporate PTSD. And when she moved into entrepreneurship, she got caught up in a cycle that a lot of us do where we just start heavily investing. We don't ask ourselves really, we know what we want, but we don't ask ourselves how we want to accomplish it. We just seek out the expert. We invest in them mentally, financially, energetically. And 9 times out of 10, we are in the middle of that cycle. And then all of a sudden feel like we aren't being heard. We're feeling stuck. All of a sudden we realize we may have made a mistake in investing all of this time and money into somebody. And she had found herself in that cycle and wasn't sure how to get out of it. And she had all of these amazing creative ideas for her business, and her mentor at the time kept kind of pulling her back, going, no, 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 that's not the correct way. You need to and you should do X, Y,
Mhm.
Z. And I think that need and should are two things that we really get overwhelmed with. There's a lot of noise around those two factors, especially when it's coming from somebody who has accomplished what we think we want to accomplish. So we give them a lot of room and a lot of leeway to tell us what to do. And she finally had enough and wasn't, again, sure how to segue from that to course correct back into what she wanted. And when she had a human design reading with me first, which is how my clients always start off, you always start off with a one-off reading with me. It was so beautiful to instantly see her shoulders drop and just go, oh, thank you. Like I knew I wasn't crazy. She had all of these amazing ideas that she wanted to work on all at the same time. And her mentor was saying, no, 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 you've got to focus on one thing. Well, she's of the design called a manifesting generator who are meant to and are designed to work on multiple things at the same time very beautifully.
Mm.
And when she had that confirmation, she was like, okay, so then let's look at my business model. Like, is this really aligned with my design and my strengths and my strategies? So we took a look at that. And then we took a look at her marketing. We took a look at everything that she had traditionally built through this framework of this previous mentor and made those little adjustments to where she got really excited about her business. Because it wasn't only the fact that she now knew what she knew to be true confidently, but she had almost the permission from me of, oh, I can create this webinar, this series, this thing, and it is all connected because it's all through me. And now she has this amazing business where she not only works with people in HR, but also leaders and coaches as well. And the way that she is openly creative about it and confidently creative about it has just moved her in such a way that I know wouldn't be possible if she didn't truly connect with the power that she already has.
Wow, that's powerful. So, how long does an average human design reading take?
So my reading is 90 minutes, but I will say this. The 90 minutes is going over the basic information. I like to coin human design as the ultimate onion of personal development. There are many, 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 many layers, and there's a lot of information. If anybody has already looked at their chart or gets inspired to go to any of the websites and get a free chart, it's gonna look a lot like craziness. It just doesn't really make sense because there's so much information inside of it. Even the person who brought it forward says it takes an average of 7 years for you to fully incorporate your design. And I love that because it's not 60K in 60 seconds. It's not 5 things to 5K. It's, ooh, let's take time to connect with myself, play with that information, experiment with that information, and really attune to it to where it just becomes autopilot, and it already starts to adjust that pace for ourselves. Instead of trying to just hurry to that next door of opportunity, we really enjoy the hallway in between those doors, and we really start to understand and enjoy ourselves as well. So with the 90 minutes, it's the kicking start, it's the kickoff start, it's the catalyst of, again, that confirmation of what you already knew to be true, that validation, and that awareness of, oh, yeah, that's where I went too far. Okay, now that I have that information, let's use all of that as a lens to start recalibrating your business to you.
Wow. Wow. That sounds like a great endeavor for anyone. And you're graciously offering a complimentary 30-minute virtual coffee with our listeners. What
Mhm.
can someone expect in that virtual coffee?
It's a safe, open space for you to ask me questions and to process. There is no sales, there is no pressure to make a decision of any sort unless we just naturally go there inside of the conversation. And that's the intention that you want to bring inside of it. But mostly, I just want you to get to know me because this is a very personal thing. And I want to ensure that you feel comfortable with me and that this is really creating and aligning with the expectations of the clarity that you want to receive.
Great. So, what made you decide to focus on or employ human design in your work? What made you decide, were you already a fan of elements of it like astrology or the chakras, quantum physics, or how did that come into your life?
It's actually really cool because it found me at a very interesting crossroads in my business. As you read off of my beautiful bio, I have done a lot of things, and
Hmm.
in 2020, I had found myself on paper extremely successful, if I could toot my own horn, to where the fact that I
Yes.
was, making six figures, I was being flown overseas to speak and facilitate workshops, and all of this while I was the primary caregiver of my son who was autistic. And yet, internally, I felt lost, disconnected. I didn't enjoy the success. It didn't feel mine and it didn't feel complete, but I didn't know why because I was doing all the things. And on paper, I was getting very beautifully rewarded and validated through that. But I couldn't understand where the disconnect was. And so I actually ended up taking a step to the side from traditional mentorship and hired a spiritual coach. And
Hmm.
she invited me to my very first spiritual retreat in Sedona, Arizona. And that's where human design found me. One of the participants had brought it up. And I had looked into it before, but didn't really feel the pull to go any deeper. And apparently the universe was like, no, no, that would be today. Thank you. And so I looked up my free chart. I started going down a rabbit hole that weekend. And I remember sitting in that beautiful suite in Sedona, Arizona, and just sobbing because I was reading me. I had never seen me in something like this before. Understanding where my trauma was held, understanding how that had conditioned me to make these certain decisions, understanding why I was feeling the way that I was feeling, and the prompts of how to bring it back to myself in some areas for the very first time. And I got really excited. And so I quietly started utilizing it for myself personally in 2020. I didn't tell anybody about it because I wasn't quite sure what this was just yet. And I really wanted to play in it, without any kind of accountability and so forth. And the way that I saw it shift not only my business, but also my relationship with my son, my relationship with myself, which allowed me to have a now very beautiful relationship with my partner for the last 7 years. And the way that it just incorporated all the aspects of my life, I was like, you know what? I already love working with entrepreneurs. My focus at the time was profit prioritization, time and energy management. What a beautiful, deeper insight into that same avenue of profitability. And so I started doing some readings just to make sure it was something again that I wanted to do and something that was really connected and of service to others. And finally, I came out of the spiritual closet on LinkedIn in 2021, 2022, and it's been my introduction and a main framework that I've been utilizing ever since.
Beautiful. So you mentioned your autistic son.
Mhm.
How has, I'm sure that has presented challenges in your life,
Yeah.
and including in maintaining your business.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice to listeners who may have the same or similar challenges in their life,
Yeah.
something because you do a lot of introspection and helping other people, so you may have an insight that others have not achieved yet.
Yeah. I mean, that question, we could probably have a whole another episode on that question.
Yeah.
But I will say this is the same response I give to almost anybody in almost every area of their life is trust yourself. Having especially a child who has, extra needs can come with so many layers of emotions, of stresses, of shoulds, of needs, of all of these things. And I have learned, my son is now 14. He was diagnosed at the age of 4, that first just trust what you know about yourself and your kid.
Mhm.
And from there, ask questions. Don't feel pressure to have to subscribe to a certain therapy or type of thinking if you're just not ready for it. You have so much information. You have so much power. And when we come back to ourselves first and just like, this isn't feeling right. So what questions can I ask, or what is a different space that I can look at? Trust that process for yourself and be open with your kid about it too. We'll have them be included because they're they're in this as well and trying to understand themselves just as much as you are. So when you open yourself up to, exploring this with your child or with your children and just trusting what you know, what feels right, what doesn't feel right, and then from there really asking the questions to get more of the information to see what that next step is.
Yeah, that's good advice. Do you use anything you've learned through your human design journey in parenting your child?
Oh yeah. Oh, 1,000%. It is,
Yeah.
especially for Max, my son, because being being autistic, one of his difficulties is expressing and identifying emotions right
Mm.
away and to honestly gather his thoughts and verbalize them. I know it makes complete sense in his head, and I love that about him. And trying to inform me so I can support him in the best ways possible is not the easiest for him. And we've been really working on it. He's really grown in that area. So understanding who he is from a human design standpoint. So I know his strategies. I know why he makes the decisions the way that he does, and I can encourage him and support him in it because it is different from others. It's more of um an understanding and connection that's not just, oh, you're special, or oh, that's just the way that you are. I actually show him his chart and go, this is why you need to experience things, not only because you're autistic, but because of this area of the chart. Oh, you make instantaneous decisions because you're what's called a splenic authority. So enjoy that and know that this is just part of your process. So for him as well to just be validated of, oh yeah, everybody is different, literally, and what is the profitability that comes from those differences?
Wow, that seems like a valuable way to parent any child.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And relationships, I use it with my partner. I use it. It's definitely one of those things that it just allows me to see not only the person for how amazing they are, but then understand how I'm designed to be the best support for them as well.
Wonderful. So you also have this great book called She Profits, The
Mhm.
Outrageously Simple Five-Point Entrepreneurial Profit Plan. Tell us a little about those simple 5 points.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is based off of a signature talk that I had done for 4 years. And basically what it is I like to call it an introduction guide to human design because it doesn't go super deep, but it gets you comfortable with checking in on yourself. So one of those points is identifying what do you actually want, not what you think you want, not what you've been conditioned to want, but what really is it that you want. And then from there, checking in on your time and energy management. One of the action steps, and the reason I love this book for a lot of reasons, but my favorite thing is that it's motivational and action filled. So you have not only pieces of my story, but pieces of my client stories, but also what you can take away from that and what you can apply to yourself. So you're not just left with inspiration and then, okay, now what? Or just a textbook of checklists going, okay, but why do I want to do this? You have that really beautiful combination of both. But one of the steps that I talk about, and it's a practice that I still do to this day, is how to prioritize your to-do list that matches your time and energy capacity. And by doing that, it gives you such an not an interesting, it gives you such control and power over your to-do list because it's very overwhelming when we have lists that are a mile long and we're not sure why we said yes to half of them or what we should even be doing with it. And instead, giving you a step by step to where one, you wake up in the morning and you check in on your energy. Okay, how did I sleep? How am I feeling? Then you look at your schedule. What do I already have on my schedule? Do I already have the capacity for that? Customize that as needed. Then from there, okay, this is how much time I have in between my business. Let's look at my to do list. What on my to do list matches the time and energy that I have today? And that just allows you to customize it and to just really honor where you're at because everything will get done. And funnily enough, the things that don't get done either never needed to be done because we said yes to something that we shouldn't have, or we put so much pressure on ourselves that it allows us to give us that kind of stopping point, or something naturally actually creates that other point being done either by somebody else or just by the actions of the point before. So it automatically aligns you with your design, whether you know your human design or not, by just coming back to what do you know to be true? What is your time and energy management? How is that connected to what you want? So because you have full say on how you spend the time and energy that you have.
Absolutely. So, one of the things you are adept at doing is helping people figure out what their why is. And there are a lot of
Mhm.
people out there who have hints about what their why is. And sometimes that's defined by the life stage. That
Mhm.
primary why for many parents is to be a good parent. But what
Mhm.
are some ways that listeners can start to determine what their why is?
I always love to go back to you don't have to be super specific. I think sometimes we feel like we have to have everything mapped out before we can even take a single step. When
Yes.
really, I like to coin it as, well, what's your intentions? How do you want to feel at the end of the day? Where do you love to be? What do you love to do? What do you love to talk about? You have all the information. One of my favorite quotes, and I unfortunately don't know who said it first, says, "You have everything inside of you to answer the call of your soul. You just have to find it."
Mm.
And when you go through those intentional prompts, that creates the puzzle pieces. And then as you move through the journey, those puzzle pieces come together and you start to see the big picture clearer and clearer. So the first thing I would say is definitely don't put any pressure of yourself that you have to figure this all out. But today, what would be your ideal day? That's one of my favorite exercises with my
Mm.
clients is no, time doesn't exist. Don't second guess it. Just to put a pen to paper, write the question, what is my ideal day, and write it all down. And then from there, pull and see what really is a non-negotiable for you in this moment, and then build up from there.
I love that. I do love that. I'm going to write that down because that's a
Yay.
great question to ask oneself.
And it
Um,
changes too. I think that's
mhm.
the other thing we have to remember and celebrate is that your ideal day changes. What you want changes because you are consistently changing. So checking in on yourself consistently, whatever that means to you, is such a beautiful tool that you already possess, and that does create such a beautiful lens to your profitability points.
Yeah. So you are an international speaker, and I am a huge fan of travel. So what has
Mhm.
been your favorite place you visited?
Great question. So I would have to say my favorites was I was asked to facilitate or to co-facilitate a retreat in Cavan, Ireland.
Oh,
Uh, that was, and then my second one after that was in Donegal, Ireland. So my two times that I've been in Ireland, my family long ago from there. I feel like every person says that. Um, but
well, with a name like McSherry,
right,
yeah.
it tracks, right? Um, but yeah, to be able, because both of those were super powerful for me for two reasons. One, the event in Cavan is what made me an international speaker.
Mm.
And to be invited to travel overseas and to meet all these amazing women in business and, just really be in that energy because it is such a different energy overseas, just with cadence and with what they want and how they want to create it. And then with being in Donegal, The flights, I don't know if anybody, whoever, if you've flown through Donegal, you know this, but Donegal is actually one of the most beautiful airports in the world because you
Mm.
land on this island and it's absolutely breathtaking. But to be able to be there and support amazing women entrepreneurs as they create their own signature talks for profitability was such an amazing experience for me to hone in that craft as well and help them really look through all their ideas and all the things that they want to create with their talk and structure it to where it is something that they not only are excited about, but want to do every single day.
Wow, that sounds fun. I have been to some parts of Southern Ireland, but not those two parts, so I'll put them on the list.
Yes, absolutely.
So I like to ask all of my guests the following question. What do you do, Mel, to become your best version?
I spend time with myself. I check in on myself and I practice what I preach when it comes to spending time with my human design and really ensuring that I also haven't gone too far or started too soon. And I think when we give ourselves that time to celebrate, to evaluate, to recalibrate, it really gives us time to see how far we've come and to not get caught up in the day to day and the routine and the mad cycles of things, as well as to have a little bit of respite of what's been, going on around you, whatever that may be, which right now for a lot of us is a lot of things. So to have that time of day that I schedule every single morning, I'm an early morning riser, to sit with my coffee, sit with my candles, check in on myself, that to me is so key to making sure that I am the best version of myself, whatever version that may be that day, every single day.
Does your family respect that alone time that you set apart for yourself?
They do because they're still sleeping. I am the only morning person, and I am that 5 a.m.er person, always have been, probably always will be. And then I wake up the rest of my family when it's time for them to wake up. But yes, they do respect it because they would much rather be sleeping.
Wow. Well, that sounds like a really great practice. I am not a 5 a.m.er, but I do set aside time for myself. And is meditation part of that time alone?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep,
Yeah.
meditation, my oracle cards, I journal. If I just start flowing with content for my business and I start, doing that as well. And I sometimes I work out, sometimes I sit in my steam sauna. So I have a lot of things to choose from. And just like I said earlier, to customize to the energy that I have and what I feel is calling to me that morning to just ground myself in and check myself out.
Sounds very healthy. I encourage all of you to go to melmcsherry.com, follow her on LinkedIn at Mel McSherry, Instagram, Mel_McSherry, and take advantage of this free complimentary 30-minute virtual coffee with her to learn more about how she can help you elevate your life and your business. She's got so much experience and novel ways of approaching um, entrepreneurship that you may not have considered. So I thank you, Mel, for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Maria. I enjoyed every second of it.